Host of M963, 22 minutes past 11. Welcome, Carlos Camacho, our in-house resident, altruistic and wonderful psychologist and philosopher.
Oh, thank you very much, Deb.
Thanks for coming in. Always good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
And last week we were talking about philosopher Epicurus, weren't we?
That's right.
I was thinking, does the name epic come from him? The word epic?
Well, if it doesn't, it should, because the guy was pretty epic.
Epic?
He was pretty epic.
Yeah.
And if a couple of things would have gone a little bit different in history, I reckon he would be one of the greatest philosophers of all time.
What went wrong for him, do you think?
I think, first of all, there was a lot of his stuff lost and rediscovered later on. Some scrolls, they used to write in scrolls. And at that time, they did write on certain material that wasn't very, I suppose, didn't have a lot of life in it.
Yes.
So they discovered new things. Previously, people wrote on stones and stuff like that. So it was an advance, but not for long. And a lot of things were lost, many. But we have the fortune of other writers writing about him, but also we rediscovered some of his original works in the 16th century at some monasteries, and that was by pure accident.
Okay. Well, we spoke a bit about it last week, and can you just really give us a rundown on Epicurus and what he believes in?
Yeah, Epicurus. We did say that he had a theory on physics, which was pretty much what we know today, that he believed in the atom, that there was a certain point that you can't divide a material, which is true, and that atom floats within void, and that's exactly what the universe is made of. It's made of atoms in void. They can move around. And so he wasn't the first one to say it, but he showed why it was true, and his theory was much more, I suppose, rational than Democritus, who came before him. So that was one big one. The second thing was his theory on pleasure, which was confused with hedonism, because hedonism, as we know, is that pleasure is all that is good, but Epicurus thought that pleasure is what we strive for, but it's not only the big pleasures, it's also the simple pleasures.
Inner tranquility it creates, doesn't it? Simple
That's
pleasures,
right.
and the simple pleasures like sitting on the grass, watching nature.
Exactly. I love the fact that you mentioned the word nature, because Epicurus thought that pleasure is in nature, not in other things that are made by humans, such as things that we strive for, like money and material goods and so forth. He also saw that animals and children themselves also strive for pleasurable things, and he felt that that's a natural thing. Then, as we grow up and through rationality, we make up these things that money and fortune and fame may give us more pleasure, but it doesn't. He believes that it actually goes against us.
It comes from the inside, doesn't it?
Exactly right.
Make yourself happy. And your memories, you're talking about thinking about great moments from the past can make you happy as well. Yes,
Epicurus, actually, he died quite a painful death. He suffered from kidney disease, and in his last letters to some of his friends, he was saying that he was the happiest he's ever been and he was in excruciating pain, because obviously at those times there wasn't much medication, but he had a lot of pleasure in remembering the pleasurable moments, and he brought that to his present. And he also thought that future pleasures, things that we put in front of us as goals in our future, create present happiness and pleasure.
Beautiful. So he really believed in love and friendship, and in his beautiful garden, he was surrounded by friends, wasn't he, and music?
Exactly right. He had a school called The Garden, like we said last week, and it was open to anyone, including women and slaves, which weren't allowed to go in other schools, including Aristotle's and Plato's, the two big ones. And so even though he was open to everyone, he was also open to criticism, and that's where the hedonistic side may have been started by his opponents from the other schools, saying that he was a bit of a partier.
And a hippie.
He was, and he loved life, which is fine, but
not scared of death.
No, not scared of death, because he believed that the only thing we have is the now.
Yes.
And when we die, we won't feel anything, neither pleasure nor pain, just like before we were born. And so what we need to do is concentrate on what we have
now
and prepare ourselves to live with very little.
Yeah.
If the luxuries come, take them, he would say. He wouldn't reject them like the cynics, which was another school. He wouldn't not reject great pleasures if they came without putting too much effort into gaining them. And that's smart, because there's a lot of energy into gaining big pleasures, like buying a bigger house that you can't afford, or going on a trip.
Strive all the time.
Yeah. So what happens is that you're missing out, you're losing out, because you're putting all this energy, and what you're going to get back is just a temporary satisfaction. So he would say, great pleasures come without much effort. Fantastic.
And surround yourself with friends.
Friends, very important, because he thought that friends are the most important people that are around you. It's a mutual beneficial relationship. We give a lot to friends, and they give us, because it provides safety in the future. If you have good friends, even because he felt that pleasure was important, the pleasures of having the basics, he thought if you have good friends, you're never going to do without.
Beautiful. We need to live more like Epicurus did.
That's right. One of his favourite terms was avoid disturbance. Isn't that great?
That is beautiful.
Just to avoid disturbance. And I think when we, today in psychology, when we, as people decide to start something or a plan, maybe a good thing to look at, maybe to look forward to say, is this going to cause me disturbance or not?
Yeah, and not to react to something that's going to make you feel uncomfortable or stressed out.
That's right. That's right, because according to Epicurus, if we're stressed out, we're not feeling pleasure. And if we're not feeling pleasure, we can't be happy.
Beautiful, Carlos. Thank you for that today.
Thank you. I love talking about Epicurus, one of my favourite philosophers.
I could talk with you about that for the next 3 hours. I think it's a music station.
Yeah, we could go on, but I mean, it is wonderful, especially when it's written so beautifully and so simply. Because he wrote it for people to understand. He didn't like
to baffle them with
that's
science.
Right. He wanted people to understand. So there was no rhetoric.
Beautiful. So, and also, you've got a couple of books to give away.
I do. I thought it time to give a couple out. Now that we've finished our part with Epicurus, I thought it would be
You're
nice.
You're a bit like him, aren't you?
I don't like putting myself in the same sentence as these people. Hopefully my book survived 2,500 years.
Yeah. So that's part 2 of Goodbye Charlie, isn't it?
Part 2, and I'll give away part 1 for those that don't have it. So we've got 2 books today. 2 books,
part 1 and part 2.
That's right.
All right, the first 2 callers on 43220072 will be the lucky recipients of Carlos Camacho, our psychologist here at Coast FM's book. And a beautiful song you chose. I think it's really apt to what we were just speaking about.
Yeah, because he was a bit of a preacher. He tried to convince people to let go of their material goods and to enjoy life. And such a beautiful song. I love it.
And a beautiful thing to preach about.
Exactly.
Dusty Springfield, son of a preacher man, Coast FM 963.
Preacher's son, and when his daddy would visit, he'd come along. When they gathered around and started talking, Cousin Billy would take me walking. Out through the backyard we go walking. Then he looked into my eyes. Lord knows to my surprise, the only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Being good isn't always easy, no matter how hard I try. When he started sweet talking to me, he'd come and tell me everything is alright. He'd kiss me